Hello everyone, just a further update. I've arrived safely at Black Rock Mountain State Park and I'm starting to get myself set up for what may or may not be what I call a Key and Me weekend. I was hoping to do a lot of CW this weekend, but it is burr cold up here and I'm not sure if I get my hands warm enough to operate the paddles, but we shall see. Anyhow, it's a beautiful little campsite. You can see I have through the trees there, I have a nice view. This is the second trip with the radio flyer. I've got the heat going on in there because I have to get in and get warm. New for this particular trip is the radio flyer has, get away from that sun a little bit, has a rear 2-inch receiver hitch, and so I have moved my antenna to the rear of the camper, and it is the same 29-foot random wire antenna with a 17-foot counterpoise with a homebrew 9-to-1 unin and a 1-to-1 current balun. And then here's my setup. That will be for the next couple of days. It's very comfortable. I used this last time. And like I said, I'm still just setting up. I want to do a quick video because I'm going to have to get inside pretty soon and start getting warmed up. Alright, so I brought 2 radios with me. The one I plan on using at least today, hopefully, is Apollo, which is my Pentec TR45L, and I want to do an activation with that. I don't normally bring my QRP portable radios when I go camping with my camper, just because I can bring a big radio, and the big radios are just easier to use. I can turn the power down and still operate QRP. But they're a little more full featured. I like to use the QRP radios if I'm just going for an afternoon or a morning or just during the day, where I may be operating out of my truck or out of the back of my truck. Then I like to bring the little radios. But for something like this where I'm going to spend a day or two, I like to bring the big radios, which brings me to the second radio I brought. And I brought Sheldon with me. And for those of you that follow my blog, Sheldon, who's named after Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory, is my Yaesu FTDX10. I'm still fooling around with that. It's an okay radio. I'm still playing with it. I still like my 7300 better as an all-around radio. But I am going to play with this one for at least, hopefully, another couple of months before I make a decision what I'm going to do with it. But I'm going to try and use it this weekend, and either starting tonight or tomorrow, I may switch over to it. And if I can't get my fingers to work, I'll switch over sooner and do FT8 on it. So, anyhow, that's me just checking in. This is a setup, and we'll talk to you all later. Alright everyone, well, I am inside my camper. I'm at least comfortable. I'm not quite warm. I've got a window open, cracked for the antenna, and I've got my vent on. I may turn that vent off for a while, let it warm up in here more, but as you can hear, it's a little noisy in here with the heater running and everything. But I'm going to switch over to Sheldon. I was running the Pentec for a while, and it does a good job. I got three contacts, but the band conditions are just very, very poor. And I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs, in between contacts. It's just not a good day, and I knew that coming into this because I get space weather alerts, and like last night, about 4 or 5 of them hit, and I said, "Oh, this is going to be great." And sure enough, at least where I am, and I'm in the middle of the mountains up here, band conditions aren't that good, so I'm going to put the Pentec away for a while, and I'm gonna bring Sheldon in here, bringing the FTDX10, maybe work some FT8 to get some contacts. But this is the setup. I did use my wind keyer, mainly because I can beacon mode it, you know, have it repeat, and whereas with the Pentec you have to flip a switch and tap your paddle every time you want to send something. Logging software is AC log. I use my N3ZN QRP paddle, which I like. One thing I did with this to help it a little bit is on the bottom I took a piece of sandpaper and used rubber cement so it'd have a little more friction so it wouldn't move around as much, and it works on semi-rough surfaces. Parts of this are a little too smooth, but it works okay. And then just to keep with the retro kind of look of the Pentec, I got an old set of Bose headphones that I use. And I had to use them in here because it is rather a noisy environment, as you can probably hear. So I did give it a whirl. Nothing wrong with the radio. The stations I worked Missouri, New York, and New Jersey. Heard them fine, no problems. The receiver is great. Everything works really good. It's just right now band conditions are not what they need to be. And usually on these camping trips, I do like a little more volume because I'm here for a couple days, and so I try to get a little more volume of calls going, or you know, of QSOs going. So I'm going to switch over, and maybe tomorrow if the band gets a little better, I'll switch back. But yeah, it's a great radio. It's not going anywhere. I do like it. So all right, more later. All right, so we're about 45 minutes into the new UTC day. In other words, it's even though it's Friday night here, over in Europe it's Saturday. And so I have switched over from my Pentec TR45L to the FTDX10, who I affectionately call Sheldon. I did switch over to FT8, and bands just aren't good. And earlier I mentioned that when I go camping like this, I like to bring a big radio with me. And this is one of the reasons why. Band conditions just aren't. This is 30 meters right now. And typically at this time of night, the waterfall up there is wall to wall. And you can see it's very, very faint and faded. And I'm not getting near as many answers to my CQ as I usually do. So running the Pentec, that's only 5 watts. And with CW, I made like 3 contacts and was going nowhere fast. And so I put away Apollo, and I brought out Sheldon, and I started out. Typically when I run a big radio here, I usually like to run a little more than QRP, maybe 20-25 watts, and that normally does the job. However, today that's not doing the job, and I've been incrementally bumping it up, and now I am running about 45 watts. And I just finally got somebody from Canada. I've been getting a lot of Canada, so I guess everything's running long. But this is why I like to bring a big radio. Now, I can't tell what the band conditions are going to be like when I get ready to come out here. I book these campsites sometimes 3 and 4 months in advance, and so I don't have that opportunity, to foresee what the bands are going to be like. And yesterday, like I said earlier, there was a lot of solar weather going on, and it's probably why the bands are not in that good a condition today. And so by having a big radio, I can crank up the power a little bit. Plus, it's just easier to use. There's more buttons, more knobs, the displays are bigger in most cases, except for the 705. But it's just easier to use, and plus I can run FT8 all day long on these at 45 watts whereas the smaller radios get hot if you're running them anywhere near 10 watts. And so the big radios just do a lot better. And so I had a thought and I lost it. I hate that. But that's why I bring the big radios. Oh, I know what I want to do. I wanted to talk about the FTDX10. Now, I know as I do my write-ups, I've been pointing out things that I don't like about the FTDX10, and there are some, and there's some that are, you know, a little bit annoying, but there are things I do like about the FTDX10, and I thought I'd take a minute or two and talk about that. And it's the screen. I really like the way they've laid out this screen. It has a lot of good information. In fact, I think it does a better job than ICOM in this account. And so that being said, I give the kudos to Yaesu for this screen. It does a much better job. I like the meter. I like the meter better. You know, I like this little window here. Lots of information. And a lot of good stuff. I may have to go pretty soon. All of a sudden the band has picked up and I'm getting some contacts. I like, you know, I kind of like the layout here a little bit. This is a little crowded here and it's a little crowded here. But in general, I like where the AF and the RF knobs are placed. I like that. I like where the tuner's placed. And so there are things I like. There are things I don't like. And so it's a toss-up. Excuse me. I've just, you know, taking care of some business over here on FT8. The radio works good on FT8. Not a lot of issues there. One of the things on the screens I like is where that RF power is. That's where the function knob. That tells you what the function knob is set to. So you know when you twist that knob, it's going to change the power. What I don't like is when this transmits, all these knobs kind of get locked and you can't change anything while it's transmitting. But you know, oh, another thing is. Just for grin's sake, I went down to 17 meters in my last one of my last blog posts. I said that this thing wouldn't tune 17 meters. Well, I tried it this time, and today it did. So it just might have been the way my antenna was set up, which is the same way it's set up now, but something there was a little different. And so, but now it's able to tune down to 17. Like I said, I like bringing a big radio when I go camping because it allows me to turn up the power if and when I want to. If I just brought the little QRP radios, I'd have been swamped. You know, I like when I go camping. When I go camping to do radio stuff, I want to make contacts. That's what I want to do, and so. And so that's what I'm after, is making contacts. And if it has to be FT8, then it has to be FT8. I don't mind doing FT8. You know, I like doing CW. If you see, I've modified my Bengali Traveler. This is a 1 pound weight. And I put it on top, and what it does is it adds a little more weight to the paddle, and the paddle doesn't move, so I can have my one hand can be operating the computer or whatever, and this hand can operate the keys. So that's why I do that. It's a lot cheaper than buying a whole nother heavier key, because I like to have the key steady. So that's it for this. Like I said, I like this. I like some of the layout here. I don't like things real squishy in here. I have to be careful, you know, with my pudgy fingers, but I do like the radio. There's just some things I don't like about it, but I do like it. One of the things I really don't like is how difficult it is to get this thing to work on 60 meters FT8. They should fix that. You know, I think they're the only ones that do it, and they should fix it where we can get in and set FT8 up on 60 meters. And I understand there's a way to do it, but everything I read was kind of more complicated than I wanted to deal with. So that's it. We'll be using probably today and maybe even tomorrow. I'll be on Sheldon. I don't know if the band conditions will be good enough for the little QRP radios. That's why I like to use those, like when I go on a day trip or if I'm just going to a park for a couple hours. You know, then the QRP radios are great because if I bust the park, I bust the park. You know, it's, you know, but when I'm out here for 2 nights and 2 days, and you know, I'd really like to be a little more productive. Anyhow, that's it. More later. It's freezing cold out there. It's going to go down into the 20s tonight, and I am nice and warm in my little camper. More later. We'll see you. Alright, so it's Saturday morning, and you can see how the band just died. Had strong signals down here, and then up here, nothing. So the band is up and down. I've got a few other things I want to do today, so I am going to make about maybe 20 more contacts. That'll bring me up to 200, and then I'm going to move on to other things that I had planned to do during this trip. But I am grateful I brought my big radio, because right now I'm pushing about 40 watts, and so and having some trouble getting those 40 watts. Getting those contacts even at 40 watts. So, but it's been a good trip. My camper is kind of messy. Really what I do is when I go to sleep at night, I kind of move all this stuff down in this area here. And then during the day, I put it over there when I'm not sleeping. So it works out well, and I've got plenty of room here for me. That heater, that little tiny heater, heats this whole cabin real nice. And I've been real happy with that. So yeah, I'm going to make about 20 more contacts. And then I'm going to break the station down and do some other things. I have to leave early tomorrow to get back in time for my wife to do stuff that she wants to do. So all in all, good. My little Pentec didn't get as much of an outing as I wanted to this weekend. That's mainly because the band conditions are so bad. You can look in just a couple minutes how bad the band conditions deteriorated. And so I don't know, I may not be able to make those 20 contacts if it keeps going like this, but I want to try and get to 200, and that's a good number for me. So anyhow, this is the end of this video for this trip. Thank you for being around with me, and I appreciate you guys supporting my channel by viewing it, both my YouTube and my blog. I'll get this video probably uploaded today, and I'll do my blog over the next couple days. So you all take care. 73s, stay safe, and stay warm. It was in the 20s last night here, and it's going to be even colder tonight. So you all take care.